Hello, and thank you for attending the Governance Committee on Wednesday, the 19th of January 2022. I'm Deborah Platt, and I'm the chair of this committee. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube. When you want to speak, please raise your hand, and when I invite you to speak, please turn on your microphone, and don't forget to turn it off when you're finished. If the technology fails, then I will adjourn the meeting for a few minutes to try to resolve the issue, or if it's not possible, to get a new date will be organised. Please can everyone ensure that the phones are turned to silent and we're not expecting a fire drill. So I've got apologies from Councillor Derbyshire, Councillor Khan and Peter Ripley, the independent member. Are there any others? You? Yeah. Brilliant. She's online. Excellent. Item 1 is the minutes of the meeting from the 24th of November 2021, and the recommendation that these minutes are approved. Are there any accuracy queries from anyone? Okay, if we can have a proposer for that. Oh, but thanks. And a seconder. Thanks. So if we can approve those, that's great. Thank you. So number 2, item 2, declarations of any interest. Does anybody have any interest to declare right at this moment? No hands. Okay, so are the external auditors on yet? No. Yeah, right. Okay, so item 3 is external audit progress update report, and we've got Matt Derrick from Grant Thornton who's online on the big screen there. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Chair. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, we can. Sorry, we forgot we've switched the mics off.
Just to confirm, yep, that's all right. Great. So I think I'm covering the two external audit reports today. The first is the progress report. This is largely for information, really, and it gives an update on the progress of the 2021 audit. I'll jump through into page 5, I think it is in the report. This is just to give an update at January, as at January 2022. We have also started the housing benefit certification work, and we're currently on track to deliver that by the deadline of the end of the month as well. So that's just for information. Over the page, in terms of the audit timetable, the current indication is that we'll complete the audit of the 2021 statement of accounts shortly over the next couple of weeks, and we plan to report our audit findings report to the Governance Committee in March, and the audit opinion on the financial statements. Following that, we will conclude our value for money work and draft our annual auditors report, which we will submit to the committee at a later date, but it will be then we have 3 months beyond the issuing the opinion of the financial statements to report fully on the value for money conclusions as well. The rest of this progress report is really just for information. There's a sector update towards the back of the report, which has pulled lots of information for local government bodies that we feel is useful for councils to consider. But happy to take any questions on this report.
Thank you, Matt. Does anybody have any questions for Matt on this report? Sorry, Gary.
Yeah. Hi, Matt. It's Gary Hall.
Hi, Gary.
Obviously, there's been a significant number of delays to audits for a variety of different reasons. I suppose my concern is that the 2021 audit starts to run into the 21-22 audit. So I suppose my question is, what's the likelihood of getting all those things out of the way prior to the 21-22 audits? Well, not necessarily audits, but it's the same team working on the closure of accounts, so we don't want it fettering down the closure. So that would be my main issue at hand in relation to the fact that the audits aren't complete.
Of course, yeah. So we are nearing completion of the financial audit. It's really the remaining work. We're at the point where we are kind of closing down queries. There's some sample evidence outstanding, but on the most part, we are kind of nearing completion. I don't anticipate the financial audit of the 2021 accounts going much beyond the next couple of weeks, and certainly I'm pretty confident that we'll be reporting our findings to the March committee, and that will largely be the conclusion of the financial audit. The VFM work we are running alongside the financial audit, and we'll be tentatively hoping to report that in March as well. But it's likely that it will go beyond that. But I think the chances of it affecting the 21-22 accounts preparation and our audit is unlikely at this stage. We're hoping to have 2021 fully wrapped up before the financial year end, so that would limit the risk of that happening, I'd hope.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions for Matt? No? So, at the end of that discussion, please can we note that report? Yep. Thank you. Item 4 is the annual audit letter for 2019-2020, and it's Matt again. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, so I'm just presenting this report on behalf of Michael, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. But I don't propose to go through the report in detail because the majority of the content I think has been issued in the previous audit findings report of the November committee. But this is just to formally issue our final annual audit report on the 1920 audit, and just to confirm that the opinion on the financial statements and certificate was issued on the 30th of November, and the rest of the report is obviously for information at this stage, but happy to take any questions on any from any members.
Thanks, Matt. Does anybody have any questions on that report, item 4? Yep, Councillor France.
Thank you. There we are. Just a quick one, page 33. I just noticed we had new valuers in, and obviously there was some dispute. Obviously there was a time problem. There was also some dispute about the actual valuations. I just wondered, has that been sorted? That's all, really.
Yes, it has. This was, the work on the valuation was all concluded as part of the financial audit opinion issued back in November. I must admit I'm not too close to the detail on this because I've taken over from 2021. But if you would like more detail, I can come back to you on that.
Thank you.
Sure, I can help with that. So, so you're right. There were some difficulties with the valuers. We tendered the work out, and the original company who had agreed to do it suddenly said we're not doing it, which left us in a little bit of trouble. We had to re-tender it. I think it's fair to say that on some of the valuations we didn't, and this is part of our role, of course. You don't just take the valuations as read. Our role is to work through them and justify them. We had some thoughts about some of the valuations that had come in, and we felt they were a little bit low based on previous valuations and on what we knew. So really it was about challenging back and justifying to the valuer why we felt they were wrong. They were reissued based upon that discussion, and then the auditor forms a view then about that new valuation, and that's what happened. I suppose the lesson learned is what's going to happen this year in terms of the valuations. It's not quite the same as it was previously, in that many of the COVID restrictions have been lifted, and many people are back at work. We've still got the issue of the Omicron variant, still got the issue of people being absent from work, despite what's been said today in terms of lifting the restrictions. There's still a significant number of people who've still got the virus and who still might get the virus. So Louise and the team are on with making sure that actually, we're a little bit ahead of the game. We try and get those things done, leave ourselves enough time this time, and don't get into the same situation that we did last time, which wasn't of our making, by the way. But I'm happy for Louise just to update on what's happening with valuations.
Yeah, so obviously these are for the 1920 accounts, and we've done the 2021 accounts, and as Matt said, that's hoped to be closed off in all of the audit work completed in the next couple of weeks. And the valuation work has been undertaken and produced, and there has been the audit that's taken place on those assets. So now moving forward, for the audit of the 21-22 accounts, which will take place in the new financial year, we're already with packaging up that piece of work and getting the valuers involved. So I suppose it's just the nature of this being 1920 and a couple of years since the incident with the valuations occurred that are reported here. That makes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary and Louise. Are there any other questions from members? Sorry, I'm being sunburnt here. I'll do the. I don't want to blot it out, but it's trouble to wear glasses as well because you can't actually when it bounces off. Right, so that's lovely, brilliant. There's no other questions. Oh, sorry, Councillor Platt.
Thank you, Chair. On the papers, agenda page 46, we're still on the value for money risks. We were told at the last meeting that the administration didn't completely agree with the opinion of what I believe to be the 5th largest accountancy firm in the world. We weren't advised as to what the differences of opinion were. So I'm presuming we take the auditor's view on face value.
Gary?
Well, the auditor's view is the auditor's view, and that won't change. So the view has been published. They remained of the fact that they felt that they should issue an except for. I think the challenge was that officers at the council didn't feel that they felt that there was a justification for that in terms of what the auditors found. But it's a judgment. I think what we said at the meeting was we might not agree with it, but we accept it and we'll deal with it. I think that's what we said at the meeting. But I'm quite happy to elaborate in terms of some of the things that we didn't agree on because Michael we didn't have that discussion at the meeting.
So, any more questions? We're just asked to note that report.
Sorry, with reference to the elaboration, but will that be in a report form? Or?
No, that would have to be a discussion point. We're a bit at a disadvantage because Michael's not on the call, is he? Who did the bulk of the work? So we can't really look to Matt to do that. But I'm quite happy to kind of give a very broad summary, and Louise as well, because Louise was involved in the detail. So we can do that for you, Councillor Platt, if you want. Yeah, no. It'll take a few minutes. So if you read the report, it does set out the rationale for why that conclusion was drawn, and there were a number of things that emerged during the audit that we went into quite a lot of detail on with the auditor. So the main issues were around, and they're set out in the report, around the reporting of risk. So the auditor felt that we hadn't followed our own risk policy in terms of how we reported it. Our argument was that actually this was quite a unique transaction and it would not have been appropriate to do that. We felt that the risk in terms of the financial transaction had been set out in the report, but his view was different to ours, and they felt we should have followed that format in terms of the reporting. They also felt that some of the detail in the report was in the main report, which was from the external advisor, was different to the report that was produced by the council. those explanations were that as at the date of the valuation, they were appropriate, and that things have moved on. So there were issues around the reporting of the interest rate used for borrowing. And what we'd said was, well, we use more up-to-date information in the council report. There were issues of that nature. There were issues about the recording of the briefings that members had, some of which were with the leader of the council, with the leader of the opposition, and then with the opportunity that members had to come and ask detailed questions of the advisors who advised on the purchase prior to the council meeting, and the fact that we hadn't recorded the details of that meeting. So again, there were some recommendations around, if you're going to do that, please make sure that you record those details. So there are a number of issues, you know, that they drew a conclusion on. And again, we've explained why those things didn't happen, but the auditor felt we could improve in those areas. And as I've said, we might not necessarily have accepted some of their findings, but we'll take it and we'll deal with it from here on in. I don't know whether you wanted to ask anything, Louise.
No, I think you've covered all the points there. I don't think that they weren't making any judgment at all in the report on the investment itself and whether it was a good investment. But there was nothing. It was just around processes and arrangements in place, you know, we kind of just take that on the chin and look to make the improvements that have been recommended.
Okay, no more questions? Oh, right, so we're asked to note that report again. Item 5 is the internal audit interim report up to the 31st of December 2021. And Dawn's here. I didn't. Okay.
Right, yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is our second interim report, our second progress report, and covers the work that we've completed in between November and December since the last time I reported to committee. So the report that's been the reviews that have been finalised are detailed in the table under paragraph 7, and all the reviews that have been completed have either received a substantial or an adequate assurance rating. We have put more detail for those reviews that received an adequate rating so that you can clearly see the reasons why that rating has been awarded. So moving on to page 54 under paragraph 8, what I've done is I've tried to put a table down that breaks down the levels of assurance that we can award and where we are at this current position so that members can get an overview of the control environment of the council. So as you can see, of the 9 reviews that have been completed, 4 have been given substantial and 4 adequate. There's only 1 limited report been awarded so far this year. Obviously, we still have quite a bit of work to do, and that picture can change, but that was where we were at the end of quarter 3. Moving further on down the report, members will be aware that this was an extremely challenging report that we put together for this year. An extremely challenging plan for this year. Pre-COVID, we would normally expect to deliver about 340 days, and this plan contained 489 days. Now, in order to be able to meet that plan, we had to take on for 2 additional posts, recruit to those additional posts. And that recruitment took much longer than we anticipated. So obviously that's impacted upon the delivery of the plan. And then to top that, the 2 people that we successfully recruited tendered their resignation and left the service at the end of December. So whilst we've been able to recruit a temporary auditor till the end of March, it does leave us in the position where the achievement of the plan as we intended is unlikely. So what we're asking members to approve the deferral of 4 reviews. And the thing I would say is we've selected those reviews based on our knowledge of the service, our knowledge of surrounding risks and what's going on in those areas and other work that we've done. And I would think it would be highly likely, given the reviews that have been selected, that they will go into the risk assessment when we're planning for next year, for 22-23, and the chances are they will feature again. So I would think very much, although we're asking for a deferral, it's a timing issue, and they will more than likely appear in next year's plan. So we won't be able to complete them before the end of March, but we'll move them into next year's. I would think that would be very much the case. Again, although we are asking for the deferral of 4 reviews, I need to point out as well that although we are moving those 4 on, when you look back at the number of reviews that we've completed in previous years, we normally deliver about 15, 16 reviews on average, and this year we're anticipating to be able to deliver an assurance opinion on 23 different audit areas. So we have undertaken a significant amount of work, and that will continue till the end of March, and that will be able to inform the opinion that I'll be able to give at the meeting in May. The report goes on to explain about our performance, and as I've said, you know, the recruitment and the resource issues have impacted upon our performance, and that will continue throughout the course of this year. Just finally, I've put a section in about we are starting to plan for next year for 22-23, and if there are any particular areas of concern or topics that members would like to be considered for inclusion in the audit plan, if you just let me know, I've put my email address there. They will certainly form part of the risk assessment. I can't guarantee they'll make it into the plan, but they will be considered. But thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Dawn. Does anybody have any questions for Dawn or on the report? Councillor Platt?
Yeah, thanks, Don. The 4 items which have been deferred, were they selected on any particular basis? Are they more complicated or less important, or?
No, the reason they were selected was because we'd already done some work in another area about contract management, so we could rely on those. We have to make sure that we've got sufficient coverage of the whole authority. So we're already looking at Section 106, so we decided we could only encompass one of those areas. Safeguarding, we can place reliance on the Section 11 audit that's carried out. And health and safety, that's actually within my service now, and I actually know what's going on with that. So, and again, it's new members of staff in that post, so it's a bit unfair to audit them from the off. They're already doing their own assessment of where the council sits, and I can use that information to inform my opinion.
Okay, is there any other questions? No, okay, so we haven't got any more questions, but we are asked to note the position with regards to the internal audit plan and approve the amendments to the internal plan, which are the deferrals, I think. So we're using the voting system. So can I have a proposer? Oh, yeah. Second it, thank you, Gordon. And if you want to do your voting on the system. Okay, that's all of us, isn't it? Excellent. That's carried. So on to item 6, which is the 2021-22 Annual Governance Statement Action Plan update. Dave?
Yes, Chair. This is, as you said, this is an update report on the 2021-22 Annual Governance Statement Action Plan. The purpose of the report is to inform committee of the progress that has been made on the implementation of this action plan, and the report is for noting. Now, last year, as part of the AGS process, the council identified a number of areas for improvement and provided actions to deliver on such improvements. An action plan was then approved by this committee. It is now 6 months since that action plan was approved, so it's appropriate and timely for committee to review what's happened since then. Members will see the table incorporated in the report that sets out the progress that has been made. Overall, good progress has been made. Some actions have been carried out in full, and other actions, good progress has already been made and progress is continuing. The key members will note that the key themes of the action plan were induction, recruitment, the loop, risk management, GDPR, key corporate priorities, value for money, inventories and the Transparency Act. Members in particular can note that substantial work has been done in the following particular areas. Significant work has been done on updating our online induction package, and there's been a general comprehensive review of HR policies. Transformation strategy has been developed and approved, and the detailed information has been published in accordance with the Transparency Code. So, to summarise, good progress has been made, and further work needs to be done, but I think we're on track to deliver our action plan. As I say, Chair, the report is for noting.
Thanks, Dave. Have I got anybody with any questions? No? Okay, so will we note in that report? Is that okay, everyone? Yep. Excellent. So going on to item 7, RIPA application update. Dave again.
Yes, Chair, you won't be so surprised to hear there have been no RIPA applications in the last few months. But what I can say is, by way of information, that officers in Chorley and South Ribble attended an external training event, which was very useful. So relevant officers have had their knowledge brought up to date, but no RIPA actions have taken place in the last few months.
Great. Thanks a lot. I don't think anybody will have any questions on a non-report. No? Okay. We note that. Thank you very much. Work programme. Has anybody got any comments on the work programme? Or questions? No? If we can note the work programme then. I haven't had any further business, so